Okay, so this is your main kind of welcome page for the ArmA game. Go to editor. Choose your map. I've only got a few maps loaded, but we're going to go with Tanoa because it's nice and green. Okay, so the first thing to know is with the right mouse button you can control your view. Your scroll wheel moves you up and down, and WSAD moves you forward and backwards, left, right, and Q and Z moves you up and down. If you hold Shift while you press W, you go faster, and then when you hold the right mouse button down, you can kind of zoom around and look for a suitable location. So we're going to just hit this field here and run through some C2 drills. So the first thing you need to do is to put some units down. So what you've got up here is a single unit or a single object. You've got groups, you've got triggers, waypoints, systems, and markers. So if you have Tanoa updated, you should have the NATO Pacific. So you go to NATO Pacific, infantry, and then we'll just take a rifle squad. And then just right click to load it. Now you can see the red circle here, this is your unit, and then the blue circles are the people in your unit. You can, as they're all selected, you can move the whole bunch of guys around, or if you click away and then click back on some of the units, you can arrange them in different places, but you can see all the lines all point back to you, so basically you're the boss. So one thing I would suggest that you could do, just to make things a bit quicker, is if you click on this box here, this is a kind of an inheritance box that once you make changes here, it affects the whole squad. So double click on that, scroll down to special states, and disable stamina, which basically means you can keep running without any sort of slowdown. So for training purposes it's perfect. So once you've done that, that's basically it. Hit play scenario. Okay, welcome to the editor. First thing I would do is hit return. That's numlock return, and you get your third person view. Now you can see all these guys here, they're slowly walking back into formation. And what I should say here is that there are basically two levels of controls. There's the sort of the ArmA vanilla controls, and there's the C2 controls. So we're going to cover some of the basic vanilla controls first, just because I guess it's sensible to know the basics. So what you need to do to issue an order to all of your squad, you hit the tilde key, which is next to the number 1 key. And by doing that, if you look at the bottom, you can see how all of your units have been highlighted. So any instruction applies to all of your units. If you press the tilde key again, it deselects everything. If you wanted to select a particular unit, then you hit the F keys. So Blackburn would be F2, Milo would be F4. So you can select specific people to do specific things, which is cool. But for now, we're going to just select everybody. So I'll just hit the tilde key again. Got the whole range of players. Once you've got your players selected, your number 1, number 2, number 3, up to 0, I think, open up different menus. So I'm going to hit 8. I think it's 8, right. Once you've selected everybody and press 8, you get a choice of different formations. So currently it is the standard wedge formation, and I'm going to set this to diamond. And you can see all the dudes are sort of trying to figure out what the hell they're meant to be doing. They can be quite easily confused. The ArmA AI is quite often derided, but to be honest, I think the whole game and what Bohemia have achieved here is pretty damn awesome. So this is meant to be a diamond. Okay, hit M for Mike, and you get your map. Now, what you'll see here is a C2 overlay, and we're going to cover that in a second. But for now, use the sort of intuitive controls to zoom around. I'm zooming in to my top-down view. Now that's slightly confusing because this is meant to be diamond, but that doesn't look very diamondy. So I'm going to hit M again. I'm going to try another formation. So tilde 8 line. Let's see if you lads can do a line. Okay, next key to note is Alt. So if I hit Alt and look around, I can see that they've got this right. So well done, guys. Good job. Okay, let's do one more formation. So tilde 8. Let's go stagger column. Other quick tip: if you double tap Alt, it allows you to do kind of lock free look on. So as you're walking around, you can only walk in a straight line, but you can look around quite freely. And yeah, sorry, you can move left and right as well. But as you can see here, I've got my guys following me, and that's all good. So let's say we wanted to investigate that building over there. What you could do is select all your guys, press 1, and then you've got a number of controls, but the one that I like to use quite a lot is advance. So just click advance and they'll go off and check shit out. And then you can follow them. Now I'm just going forward with the W key, but if as you're pressing W you tap S, you go into this kind of slower pace, which is useful when you're kind of moving into an area, because the AI response time is variable, I think. So I find you get better results when you're moving into a hostile area at a slower pace, because then your team have got a better chance of getting a bead on the enemy before they get one on you. So we're just sort of moving in to an empty town, but let's pretend it isn't. And you can see here that as I'm moving around, the squad is kind of reacting to the direction that I'm moving in, which is quite nice. Okay, to get your sort of combat pace on, just tap S again, and then you're jogging. To sprint, hold down Shift. Get these guys back into formation. So tilde 8. Let's get a V formation. A V formation is kind of the opposite of a wedge. So there'll be a wedge, but kind of in front of you, so you can see where everybody is. So I've set the formation. What you need to do next: tilde 1. Return to formation, and they should all come back like faithful dogs. Another quick tip for when you're in the editor is if you press plus and plus again, you can speed things up. So if you've got some kind of boring shit to get through while you're playing around, you can modify the speed slightly. And obviously minus brings it back to normal. Okay, so we've covered basic formations and control. You can see that in this formation, the V formation, they're kind of to my sides and flanks, but in front of me. So if I walk forward with S pressed, you've got quite a nice kind of combat formation, which keeps you relatively safe as well. So if there's any contact, You kind of want your droids to be hit before you get hit, generally speaking. So this kind of works quite nicely. Okay, next thing to do is press and hold tab, and what that does is it brings up the C2 dialog menu. So this is not ArmA's. This belongs to Mad Cheese. It's created by Mad Cheese, and it has a range of very useful features that you can use. I guess I'd start with stances. So if you click on stances while holding down tab, click the crouch. Look at that, they'll crouch. Press it again for prone. Good shit. And stand again. If, let's say, we'd been in some kind of altercation with the enemy and there's some injuries, you can click the auto functions, the brain, and then this dialog here allows you to send healers to patients, so you can kind of automate the healing of your troops without you having to micromanage that, so that's useful. But one of the best features I find about C2 is the specific controls that you can leverage. So let's say we wanted to do a patrol down this road. I'll demonstrate it first and then I'll explain how I did it. So what I've done here is used C2 to specifically move my unit to a particular location, but what I'm going to do now is hit Control F, and if you look at the top right of the screen, you can see a little message asking you to repeat that, so you repeat it. What you've got here is two choices. You can either draw out a formation using this grid system, and they would go to those positions, or what you can do is simply activate the formation. So when you activate the formation, what you essentially do is lock these troops into the formation that they're in. So when you walk around, they stick to that particular formation. So if we do that, then you press escape, then you press tilde, then you press regroup. Now as you walk forward, and I'll just put slow pace on, you can see how they're pretty faithfully staying to their formation. Got your point guy up in front, so it's kind of like steering from the rear. If you've ever sort of worked in a warehouse and pushed around a pallet truck, it's kind of like that. So you kind of need to be aware that as you are, let's say I wanted to sort of quickly check out what's over there, these guys are quickly gonna sort of reposition themselves, and if they're like sort of 50 meters or so ahead of you, like these guys are, that could be quite a walk, and you don't quite know where the front guy is now, so it's something to be aware of. But what I really love about this feature is that you can design particular formations to suit your situation. So if we're patrolling a road, this is perfect. Let's say we wanted to kind of do more of a wide countryside patrol. We can do something else. So instead of using the HUD that I used just now with the green circles, if you click M, bring up the map, you can see you've got your player here, you've got all of your units here numbered. You can also see those numbers are corresponding to these points down here. So if I wanted to set up a particular formation, I could click number 2, and I can designate their positions using this top-down view as well. So if I click 3, I click and hold, and then I move away and then let go and then commit. What this does is not only send this person, this player, this AI to a particular point, but it also designates which direction they should be looking at as well. So we get 5, they should move and look at me. 6 again should move and look at me. And let's see if that's worked. Yeah, so they're looking in my direction, but these two guys on my flanks are looking forward. Okay, so let's get the rest of the guys set up. 4 of him wide, 7. So now what we have is kind of a wider coverage than what you could get with the vanilla formations. So now, if I Control F, clear data, activate formation, press escape, tilde, regroup, now these guys are locked in formation. And if I press down M, you can kind of see that that is happening. Although 4 seems to be slightly confused, and so does 7. That is going to happen. Confusion will happen, and I think you just need to be aware of that. The AI tend to operate in mysterious ways sometimes, and it's just one of those things. I think with ArmA, you just need to accept it. Try and understand it where you can, and try and sort of mitigate it where you can. But yeah, these guys do some weird shit. But as you can see, apart from 7, who's obviously on some kind of side mission, everyone is moving forward as planned. So if this was like some kind of patrol mission, this would be better, I think, than the standard line. Okay, so there's 7. Well done, you joined us. Ah, there's 7. Okay, so just to cover the C2 HUD controls, I'm using a Tartarus gamepad which has a key map specifically for pre-configured C2 controls, but if you don't have that, what you want to do is press Control F2, hold that down, and then you've got your F2 player moving there. Control F3, Control F4, Control F5, and so on. So that's how you can position your team where they need to be. There are so many things in here, and I don't want to just kind of dive into everything straight away. I mean, there's one other thing that I would maybe suggest as a excellent feature that you probably would get value from quite early on, is the rules of engagement. So if you click on rules, you've got fire at will, fire only at designated targets, and we'll cover that another time. But this is my favourite one, fire on my lead. So once you've clicked that, none of these guys will engage with any found enemy until you fire a shot. So I think we can, thinking about it, let me quickly demonstrate that. So if you press escape, return to the Eden editor, and then let's get some enemies down. So where could they reside? Okay, so let's get a a small fire team on patrol in this town area. So CSAT is the basic sort of vanilla enemy. CSAT Pacific is the new type of vanilla enemy that you get with the Tanoa map. But if you go to infantry, take a fire team, place them there. Now if you click on the team leader, and then if you can see at the bottom right, you've got a couple of tips. So what we want to do is attach a waypoint. So if you hold down shift and right click, you can move these guys around. So they're just going to wander around randomly. Just out for reference, if your last waypoint is next to the first waypoint, if you then double click on that last waypoint and change that to cycle, it will link, and then these guys will just wander around this town forever. So they'll be dead soon, so let's not worry about that. Okay, let's change the settings as well. So if you click this cloud button at the top, let's have a so dawn, we'll get some fog as well. So wow, that's foggy. You can set the fog level, you can also set the height. Sorry, this is the height, sorry. So you can really kind of fine tune your mission. Give it some rain. Give it a load of lightning. Yeah, fuck it. Let's make it overcast as well. That seems to have changed the fog setting, so let's readjust that. Let's take our guys back a bit. Play. Okay. So I believe we're going down that way. Another quick tip, if you've got a scope with two options, RDS and zoom, if you hold down control, hit right click, you can toggle between the two. This scope is actually quite useful for that reason. It's got a decent sort of mid-range and a decent RDS. Cool. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is hit tab, rules, fire a mulligan. Cool. Now I'm going to set up effectively a meat shield. So F2, F3, F4, F5, F6. Seven, 8, bit of a rear guard. Now the other thing I would mention about, okay, so we got contacts, so they've already dropped down, but I'm going to force that by crouching, set my formation, escape, select all, regroup, and now I've got these guys sort of locked into my movement. Let's get some progress down the hill. See if we can locate these enemies. Okay, they seem to be dead ahead. Get a bit closer. Now, no one's shooting yet because I haven't shot, so I'm trying to locate them. I was trying to get an ambush, but obviously we were spotted. So my guys have already taken out 2 of the 4. Get these guys to regroup, hopefully in front of me. Okay, so another one down. So it seems that the custom formation system can be affected by the contacts that these guys experience. So it's not as kind of set in stone as this type of stuff. So they're more reactive, basically. They'll kind of react to what's happening around them, which is good. You want that, I think. I think everybody's dead. So maybe not the best example of how to kill the bad guys, but hopefully you get the idea. I thought there was 4. There's the 4th one. And as you can see now, because things seem to be quiet, everybody's getting back into formation. Now, let's say there were perhaps other unknowns in the area. Obviously I defined the enemy threat, so I know basically what's happening, but if this was a mission and you didn't know, this could be a useful way to move through the town and clear out any bad guys. So yeah, we've got 1 more. Okay, he's down. So 3 to 1. Not too bad. That's unfortunate though. Anyway, that hopefully gives you a bit of an insight into some of the things that you can do. Cool. Nice one. Catch you next time.